Hi everybody, welcome to day 2, week 3 in the Raw Food Rehab. I've tried to make this video, I'm thinking about 6 times now, and I keep having interruptions, whether it's a dog or a telephone or whatever. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the best I can to make this video. No makeup, no hairstyle, I'm just coming at you raw today, people. And that's just fun because we're talking about emotional overeating. Does anybody out there know what I'm talking about? I mean, I already know you guys know because I've read your blogs and I've read your forum posts, and I think that the majority of everybody who's participating in this experiment has at one time or another, probably more frequently than not, been face-to-face with their emotional eating. It's definitely been part of my background. I mean, I grew up in a home where my mother had mental illness, and so it was very much like growing up with an alcoholic parent. I mean, it was a roller coaster ride of emotion, and the one thing as a child that I learned to do as a coping skill was to go to food for my comfort and my pleasure. I'm sure so many of you all have had maybe different sets of circumstances, but maybe you have used food as, actually, you know, it's a habit, but it can be an addiction. And, you know, overcoming addiction, if any of you have had addictions touch your life, you know how difficult that is. And, you know, like with smoking, alcohol, or drugs, you can just put that thing down with counseling and help and walk away and turn and go in the other direction. But with our diets, and we do have to consume food in order to survive. So I think that food addictions and food well, I guess I'll just go ahead and stick with the word addiction, because I think those addictions and the way that our palate reacts and our mind reacts as certain things trigger our cravings for certain foods, I think it's probably one of the most difficult attachments that we have. And there is a book that I would highly suggest to you. I might not necessarily agree with every single thing that this author has to say, maybe from a spiritual standpoint. However, I think the information in the book is excellent. And I currently don't have the book. I had it at one point, and I loaned it out to someone, and I've never seen it again. So hopefully that person is enjoying the book. But the name of the book, if you don't have this book, see if your library has it. I just checked on Amazon, and they have a ton of used copies available for $12 and under. The name of the book is Feelings Buried Alive, Never Die. And it really helps you to understand some things that are going on inside of you emotionally that you might not have ever even thought about before. And some of these things might be contributing to the fact that you and I use food just like someone could be addicted to gambling or pornography or, you know, pharmaceutical drugs, whatever. I mean, most of us in our human state are weak, and we respond to situations that happen and circumstances in our own ways. And for a lot of us who've struggled with weight through the years, food has been one of our big crutches. So I'd like to get a little bit deeper into this subject today because I think it's something that so many of us struggle with, and it seems to be the number one question that comes up. What do I do when my mother-in-law comes to stay with me and she totally rearranges my kitchen and she lets my kids do crazy things and she gives them all sugar, or, you know, and then I find myself a basket case and I'm in my closet eating Hostess Twinkies at dark. I mean, you know, just all these different scenarios that happen. I mean, we all deal with crisis in our lives. We deal with death, financial burdens. We deal with, you know, just self-inflicted insecurities and those old tapes that play through our mind from our childhood. But, you know, you're not worthy, you're not attractive, you're insignificant, you know, on and on and on. Does any of that sound remotely, can you relate to any of that? So it doesn't matter, it just doesn't matter where you are today, because part of this part of the weight loss journey I think is probably the most crucial. And it's probably not going to be something that I'm actually going to spend a lot of time on in my book, because I could write, 3 or 4 novels just on this topic alone, but I don't think that we can go much further in our rehab without really getting into this subject matter and talking about it. So, have any of you all read the book, Feelings Buried Alive, Never Die? If so, what are your thoughts on that? Another book that I think is helpful along these same lines is Louise Hay's, You Can Heal Your Life. And again, I don't necessarily agree with everything that she says from a spiritual standpoint, but I do think that there are certain universal truths that both of these books have that you can take and extract from them so much valuable information that would really, really help you along your journey. So if you haven't read either of those books, I think it's a really, really valid place for you to start. If you know that you're an emotional overeater and you know that you get triggered from certain scenarios that happen, I would highly recommend either of those books. If anybody else has any suggestions out there that you would like to share, we're certainly open to that. And I will look forward to being with you again tomorrow. And I hope everybody has a great night. Bye.